Also, when it came out, I was pretty nervous. I didn't know how it was going to get translated. I didn't know how critics were going to take it or the audience is going to take it. It was quite a risky role to play, honestly. Um, but pleasantly surprised, I started seeing the reviews and everybody liked my performance. They noticed how much hard work I'd put into it. And that was honestly the biggest gift, I was so happy. I remember Shiv Pandit, in fact, one of our actors in Chuck Review, messaged me saying, "Have you seen the reviews? People are talking very nicely about your acting." And I honestly didn't even Google Chuck Review. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to see it, I don't want to know. And then he sent me some of those screenshots, and it was critics who matter. It was not just any random person, because nowadays everybody has become a critic. It was people who are educated to do so, who are properly, who are there. And, it just felt really, really good. I was so glad people saw the performance and they liked it. So it always boosts your confidence to be noticed, and appreciation is all what an actor asks for. It feels amazing when somebody really notices your performance and says, "Dude, that scene was nice," and I saw those emotions in that particular scene. And I'll tell you a little story about Chuck Review. The first scene that we shot was the toughest of Chuck Review. So it's that scene where getting a night before in front of that library.
Oh yes.
So the first scene we shot was that, and I remember the entire night they called me to the set in the night, and we shot it first thing in the morning. So almost 10 hours I was sitting in the van with my producer telling me, "Listen, Ruhi, you have to perform. Okay, this is a very important scene. Sagarika is going through these emotions. She's going through this. She's going through that." And I was like, "Don't worry, I work well under pressure." There was so much pressure on me, and then we performed, and then and there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of emotions, because she wakes up and she's disheveled.
Yeah.
And she then MF. Just imagine what the girl is going through. And the first time I did it, the entire unit clapped. They clapped, and my producer came up to me and she like, wow, she hugged me. They really thought I genuinely felt those emotions, but they thought I wasn't okay, Then again, we took the retake from some other angle and all that. And I performed consistently throughout, and I remember Chuck Review started with people clapping for me, that standing ovation, and that means everything. So it's a very special.
And that's a very heavy scene. I mean, again, like you've already said it. And that's why I said, what's your mindset like? Because there are scenes that are very emotionally heavy, right? And you performed it consistently. And it's dark, right? Like it's dark. It's the dark side of the web. There's like social media. It's a lot of it is dark. So when you come out of that day after day in a shoot, or once the shoot ends completely, do you do anything to sort of re-elevate yourself mentally when you have been part of something that is that heavy? Or are you one of those people, I've left my job, it's fine, it was just a role, and you kind of snap out of it? I know that there's two leagues, so to speak, and not one method is right or wrong, but me as a consumer, as somebody who watches this, I can feel heavy sometimes after just watching it. So I always imagine what kind of impact it leaves on the actual performers, on the actors.
For me, so I know people have their processes, they have their... I'm very comfortable with emotions.
Okay.
So even after we performed, so I did this scene, there was another difficult scene when she finds out she's pregnant.
Right.
Now again, even when you talk about that scene, if you talk about the massy audience, people just, they tend to judge a woman a lot, and but it's changing now. I'm so glad. But I was like, I'm going to give it my all, and I was pumped. And that moment, just imagine a girl who's been assaulted, her MMS has been leaked, and now she finds out that she's, going through this. There's a plethora of emotions that she's going through. Her world has just been destroyed. So it was for me, can you imagine, I really enjoyed playing that scene. I
really?
Forward, but yeah, I really enjoy emotions. So, especially when, because it gives me a chance to really see, we have so many layers as human beings. We've gone through so much, and then, we keep it locked up. And we're always asked to oh, stay centered, or oh, you gotta don't get too excited. In normal life, we don't get to explore or express a lot. As an actor, it gives me an opportunity to express all of that. So I really enjoy it. And no, after performing, when I know in my heart I've done a good job. And how do I know? Because I felt those emotions honestly in all their rawness. I know the scene is amazing, and that's the best feeling in the world. I don't need to do anything to get over. I, in fact, feel really good about it after performing a scene well.
Hmm. You said that's so important. I was just thinking about this right now. I mean, as you're speaking about the release of emotions, as as just general human beings, somebody like me, I'm not an actor. So even in the course of this interview, if I'm reading any comments or anything like that, I'm still focused here. So you still have to remain centered. You still have to remain, you can't do a release of emotion, so to speak. So that's interesting. You say, acting allows you to express those emotions that often, I guess, a lot of us have bottled up inside, and you get to release those emotions. That's such a great way to think about it. That's such a great way to put it.
In fact, I recommend, for everybody, I think maybe join theater or some kind of performing arts where you get to even meditation if you enjoy that. We need something like people how they see acting as work. I see it as a release. I love being on set. I love getting into the skin of the character because it's just so much fun. You get to be so many things and you get to leave yourself and actually live like somebody else. That's that's people know that. And I've also learned during the course of time. I didn't start off here. I'm not from a film family.
Right.
Everything is self-learning. It's basically being not from industry, always trying to prove a point. So in that proving a point, you get better at your craft also.
Right. That's true. That's true. Tell me, if there was a character that you could revisit today, a year has passed by, 2 years have passed by. Let's fast forward to 2022 or 2025 or something. If there was a character that you'd want to check in on, what their life is like 3, 4, 5 years down the road, which character would that be that you'd want to sit down, have a cup of tea with that you've played?
Mayuri Chauhan, my first film, Calendar Girls. I would
I'm the
definitely
girl.
be because I'm sure she's a very big star by 2025. Because she also won a Filmfare in the movie. She was a
Yeah.
super badass girl who was super ambitious, happy-go-lucky. Extremely sorted. I think Mayuri is the most sorted character I've ever played. She doesn't give a damn about anybody, anything, and also she's not a bad person. So if you actually watch the film, she's a fun person. She's a nice girl. She's like super fun, but she's not bothered about her. I think she's
Hey, Mayuri it is. Now, Ruhi, I want to sort of talk about a bucket list because although you said, you can't just say you've made it, you've made it, you've made it. All of us have bucket lists in life. I'm not an actor, and I still have a list of things. I'm like, I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that. And a lot of people will say, I like to go with the flow. But at the end of the day, I find that we still have ambition. We started off this interview with the ambition piece, and I want to sort of go into that circle again and end off on that circle. What's on that bucket list? What are you ambitious to be driven towards now?
I want to do a lot more work when it comes to my acting, and there are some really interesting projects coming my way. Touch wood, Runaway Lugai has been taken really well. People really like it.
Yeah.
So after that, a lot has changed. I'm doing projects, very very gratifying. I'm also starting my own clothing line very soon, so people will hear about.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm also uh, there's that. When we talk about bucket list, I really want to do some good work. I don't want to keep myself confined to just a particular genre or a language. I would love to do something in America, like Priyanka Chopra, because she's totally my idol. And luckily, I've also signed up recently with an American agency. In fact, I was supposed to go. I was supposed to go to LA, but the lockdown happened, and then American borders. There's a lot of issues, but My contract is done. Waiting for the borders to open up, and I'll probably go there, create some amazing content. So there's a lot happening here and there, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to take some shape, and it'll all come together. But all I do is, just work. I don't concentrate on anything else. I only work.
Awesome. Ruhi, it's been so wonderful getting to know you. You are straightforward. You have a lot of candor when you speak, and yet at the same time, at the core, there's this enthusiasm and there's this energy to put out good work and at the same time be real about it. And I think that's so refreshing. It was so good chatting with you, and I'll keep thinking about the release of emotions thing that you talked about. Some really interesting things that you said, some things that really hit home. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for taking out time to speak to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was lovely talking to you. So glad we
Lovely chatting to you with you as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And I was looking through the questions. A lot of the questions were about things that weren't necessarily related to you, so I didn't take any questions. But thank you so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And I'll see you next time. Ruhi, thank you so much. And I hope that we get to catch up soon and we can talk a little bit about the clothing line as well. So looking forward to that and much more from you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.